Hey everyone, welcome back to the React Native Expo Mastery series. In this episode, we are diving into the basics of state management with the useState hook. Managing state is crucial for creating dynamic and interactive applications. So let's get started. The useState hook is one of the most commonly used hooks in React. It allows you to add state to functional components. Let's start with a basic example to see how it works. But before that, I hope you have subscribed our channel and you are following up this playlist, and we are very close to 170 subscribers. So I hope by the end of this video we hit 170 subscribers. If you just like the video, then only. Great, so let's start with a very basic example. So today we are making a count application, so let's see how does it works. What we are going to do basically is we will have a plus button, and whenever we are pressing the button, we will be displayed up how many times we have pressed the button, right? So let me just remove this all the code up here and start by my boilerplate, and let's remove this too. Let's add the view property up here. So inside this view, let's have a text, and this text might say use state. Let's import this text up to here, and if I just save this up, you might say the text is written up here. So let's just style it up a bit. Great, so the basic styling is done up here. Now let's start by creating a button up here. So after this text, let me just add a button here. So here up, either you could use this button or you could use the touchable opacity. For now, I will be preferring touchable opacity because we do have more customization and styling property inside this. So let me just copy this up, and great, it has already pasted, so that's a good thing I love about React. Great, so what does I want inside this touchable opacity is a text. So let me have a text inside this, and let this text be a plus. So you might see it here, so let's just style it a bit. So we will just copy this style from here and paste this up here, and let me just save this up. So it's looking like this. We could maybe decrease the font weight and the margin top too, and we could change the color to maybe this one. So if I just save this up, you could see the color is being successfully changed. Let's just increase the font size a little bit to 50, and that's really looking good. So what I'll be doing up here is I'll just copying this touchable opacity and pasting this again, and change the font size to 60 and decrease the margin top to 30. Great, so after this touchable opacity, I'll be having a text place up here which will allow me to display how many times the user has pressed the button. So let's say you clicked button 0 time. So I just save this up, and again just styling it. I don't want this, I don't want this, I want this to be 20. If I just save this up, okay. So if you will see, if I just press on this plus button, either on minus button, nothing would change because the backend work isn't being started yet. So let's just start there. So before this return property, I'll be creating up a variable that's being a const, let's say to be count and set count, and which will be equal to the useState property. So let's first import this useState property. So just remember, all of the hooks we would be using will come up in the first line, right? In which you have imported React, right? So you'll just put comma, then curly braces, and whatever the hook you are using, either it's useState or use hook or use effect or whatever you are using, just use in this line, right? Not up in this line. Great, so is equal to I will use useState property, then in brackets I'll be assigning it a default value of 0, because by default the 0th time the button would be pressed. So if I just save this up and come up to the touchable opacity, we do have a function inside the touchable opacity which is called as on press function. Great. So for the onPress function, I'll come up here, and we do have a property called as onPress, and inside this onPress I'll be making up a arrow function here. So what I'm doing inside this function up here is I'll just set the set count value. So I'll just come up here, I'll call set count, and in the bracket what I'll say is whatever the count is by default, so make sure you just add it by the 1. So if I just save this up, try to click on this button, and wait, I have to display up here, right? So in the text property I'll come, so you can just see we have a static text of 0. So I'll just remove this up, use curly braces because I have to use a variable, and type up here count. Then if I just save this up, and how many times I'm pressing this button, you might see the value is being updated here, right? So simply you could just create a function for the minus button to by yourself. I could just give you a homework if you have understood this properly, so you could just give it yourself a homework. Otherwise, let me just tell you quickly. Great. So similarly, we'll come up to the minus function touchable opacity. Inside this, we will again call up the onPress function, and inside this onPress function we are firstly using a arrow function. So now inside this I'm setting a set count value to be whatever the count value is from by default. Make sure you are subtracting it from the 1. If I just save this up, and now whenever I'm pressing minus, it's decreasing, and at the plus it's increasing. Now whatever I have to use multiple time useState together, so let's see that too. So let's say I'm creating up another variable, and let it be called as name and set name, right? So I'm again using up useState here. So just a second. Great. So inside this useState I'll define a by default value. Tone is dark, and if I just save this up and come up here and down and create up a text, and in this text what I want is to display whatever my name is. So if I just save this up, you can see it's Tony Stark. Now I hope you understood why I use this curly braces, because at this time I want to use the variable, not a static text called as name. I will simply type name, it will give me this name, but if I will use this name inside the curly braces, it will give me the value of this property, which is name right here. So now what I'll be doing up here is what we could do, we could just create another touchable opacity, which will say click me to change the name, and whenever we will be clicking on that, so we will be just targeting this set name, and we'll put another name inside that. So I hope you understood. So let's see. So firstly, let's copy this touchable opacity again, and after this text I'll paste this up, and if I just save this up, yes, this is working fine. So I'll just remove this minus sign from here, and I'll say change name, and that's how it's looking. Let's decrease the font size to 30, I guess. Great. And margin bottom to 32. Great. This type is 2. Great. So now what I will be doing up here is I'll change this onPress function from here. I would be using this onPress function only, but I'll just change the function up here because the logic is also changing now. So now what I have to do this time is I'll be targeting set name, and I'll putting the set name value to anything. Let's say let it be a Dr. Doom. So now what should it happen, like it's showing Tony Stark for now, but whenever I should just press on this change name, it should change it to Dr. Doom. Yes, and that's working perfectly fine. Great. So I hope you understood both of the examples and you might find it helpful. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. We have covered the basics of state management using the useState hook, which is essential for making your React Native application interactive and responsive to user input. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode, where we will explore more advanced state management techniques. And of course, if you find this video helpful, just subscribe this, so I quickly hit 170 subscribers. Yeah, so thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.